Hey there, students. This is Mr. Surface coming at you with lesson 9.4, solving quadratics by factoring. I want to take the time to run through this lesson and show you how we can continue to solve quadratic equations by the method of factoring and using the zero product property. So the goal is to solve quadratic equations here. However, the equations that we're going to see today are not going to be in standard form. I want to run through this lesson by showing you where we've been, solving them already when they were in standard form, and then what it looks like when we have to solve them when they're not in standard form. So I'll do a little review, and then we'll jump into some new stuff. So if you take a look here, this is actually not a quadratic equation in standard form. It's one of those factored quadratic equations that we factored it into the two products, and then we use the zero product property. So if you could take a look, you can simply make each one of those products equal to 0 using the zero product property, and you can get your solution to the quadratic very easily by solving those basic equations. Here's another example for review. We have this quadratic function where we have to find the factors of negative 54k squared, and those factors have to add up to 3k. So I know those factors are positive 9 and negative 6, and I can continue to use the zero product property to make each one of them equal to 0, and then get my two solutions of negative 9 and positive 6. What you guys are really familiar with is a quadratic equation that looks like this, where we have to use the AC method. Remember, we have to multiply 3y squared by 24 to get 72y squared. Then we're going to look for those factors of positive 72y squared that add up to negative 17y, and those factors are negative 8y and negative 9. So remember, I do my factor by grouping, where I put my first term, 3y squared, with any of the factors, negative 9y or negative 8y. I chose negative 9y because it's a little bit easier. And then I put my last term, which was 24, again, in that group, and I begin to factor. I find my GCF. The GCF for the first is 3y, and I factor. And then the GCF for the second group is negative 8, and I factor. And there's your check, the y minus 3. If that's the same, you know you're on the right track. I continue to put those products together, and then I use my zero product property. With the zero product property, I make each one of them equal to 0, and then I can easily solve for y to find the roots of the quadratic equation. So then my roots are going to be, in this case, 8/3 and 3. So that's a little review of where we've been with factoring. We did a whole bunch of that in Chapter 8, and you did a little bit of that in Lesson 9.4, Day 1. So what you'll see on the next screen is basically all you have to be able to do is write the equation in standard form first. In that given equation, n squared plus 8n equals negative 15. It is not in standard form. So what you have to be able to do is you have to write it in standard form first. And then you follow the factor by grouping method, where you're going to find factors of 15n squared that add up to 8n. In this case, you're going to have 3 and 5. And then you're going to continue to use the zero product property, and you're going to get your values of n equals negative 3 and n equals 5. N equals negative 5. So there you have it. It increases in difficulty a little bit, but if you follow that process by remembering how to solve by factoring using the AC method, where you multiply the a by the c and then you factor by grouping, you eventually are going to get your two binomials, and then you're going to use the zero product property to solve. So here you'll see that each one of these, 1 through 8, these are going to be your practice set here. They are not in standard form, so the first thing you have to be able to do is bring all the terms to one side of the equation. A little hint is try to keep your a value positive. So in the case right here for number 4, I would bring that negative 4n over to the left-hand side, make it equal to 0. See if you can factor first. Remember, always look for a GCF first. And if you can find the GCF, you might save yourself some time without having to factor using the method of factoring by grouping. Okay, so I hope you have some success with this. If not, always make sure you can check in on a Google Meet, and we can help you out. Good luck, and we'll be in touch soon.